To design a data model that fits our business needs, we need to relate the objects to each other in certain ways. To achieve this, Salesforce provides us with a different set of options to configure the object relationships. In this video, we will learn about these relationships. There are three main types of relationships in Salesforce: Master-Detail, Lookup, and Hierarchical. Note that a relationship in Salesforce is nothing but a type of field like a reference or foreign key column in database tables. Apart from these three main relationships, I am also going to talk about some additional relationships that are available in Salesforce. Also, I will be sharing some minute but very important details about these relationships in this video. So make sure that you watch this video till the end if you want to learn about these concepts in detail. Otherwise, feel free to check the key moments section in the description to skip the rest and jump to the topic that you are interested in. Let's talk about the master-detail relationship first. This relationship allows us to associate records of one object with the records of another object in a tightly coupled way. Tightly coupled means both the objects are dependent on each other and share common properties or behaviors. One object in this relationship becomes the master and the other one, which refers to the master, becomes the detail. Here is the summary of the master-detail relationship. Implements one-to-many relationship. Master-detail implements one-to-many relationship between the objects. This means that there will be one master record which can have multiple detail records associated with it. Technically, there is no restriction on how many records we can have as detail to a master record. Cascaded deletion. Master-detail relationship enforces cascaded deletion behavior, which means that the corresponding detail records get deleted automatically whenever their master record gets deleted. Mandatory master record reference. Salesforce enforces us to specify a master record for every detail record while creating a detail record. Also, we cannot remove this reference once a detail record is created. Inheritance of sharing settings. In master-detail relationship, the detail records inherit or derive its accessibility or sharing settings from the corresponding master record. This means that if a user has access to the master record, that user will also be able to access the related detail records. Otherwise, that user will not be able to access only the detail records. Ownership of detail records. The owner of the master record becomes the owner of the detail record. So, we do not get that standard field named owner on the detail object and thus cannot share only the detail record without sharing the corresponding parent record with other users. Roll-up summary field. Master-detail relationship allows us to create a special calculated field on the master object which is known as roll-up summary. This field allows us to summarize the field's values and records of the detail objects. Now let's take a look at the lookup relationship field. This relationship allows us to associate records of two objects with each other in a loosely coupled way. Unlike master-detail relationship, the associated objects are not dependent on each other and do not share common properties or behaviors. Here is the summary of lookup relationship. Implements one-to-many relationship. Similar to the master-detail relationship, lookup relationship allows us to create a one-to-many relationship between the connected objects. In the lookup terminology, we refer to the master object as parent and detail object as child object. One-to-many means in a lookup relationship, we can have one parent record which can have one or many children records associated. Like the master-detail relationship, the lookup relationship also does not have any technical restriction on how many children records can be associated with a parent record. Optional cascaded deletion. The cascade deletion, which allows deletion of child records upon deletion of its parent records, is also available in lookup relationships. However, this comes with some limitations. This behavior is available only for the custom objects. This means that if we have a custom object on which we are implementing a lookup relationship that is referring to either a standard or another custom object, then we can enable this option. By default, this option is not available. To enable this option, we need to contact the Salesforce technical support. Optional parent record reference. In lookup relationships, while creating a child record, we do not need to specify the parent record to associate this record with by default. However, using configuration, we can make this field mandatory on the child object. Parent and child have different sharing settings. Children records do not inherit or derive its accessibility or sharing settings from the corresponding parent record in case of lookup relationships. This means that we need to configure the record level access or sharing for both parent and child objects separately. Self-reference. Unlike master-detail relationship, Salesforce allows us to create a lookup field that references the same object. This means that we can create a lookup field on the account object that refers to the account object itself. This is called self-reference. However, note that while updating a record of such an object, we cannot refer to the same record. In such a case, Salesforce will throw an exception. This scenario is called circular reference, which is prohibited by Salesforce. Now, based on whatever we learned so far, let's summarize the master detail and lookup relationships by comparing them head to head. Master detail tightly couples while lookup loosely couples the connected objects. In case of master detail, children, that is detail records, get deleted automatically upon deletion of the related parent records. However, this feature is not available by default for lookup relationships. Specifying the parent record is mandatory in master detail while it's optional in lookup. However, in lookup we can make this mandatory using configuration. The children records inherit the record level sharing settings from its related parent records in master detail. However, in the lookup relationship, we configure these sharing settings separately for the parent and child records. In master detail, we can create roll-up summary fields, while in lookup we cannot. We cannot have a master detail relationship on an object that will refer to itself. However, we can have such self-reference possible in lookups. Hope this helps you get a good understanding of the differences between the master detail and lookup relationship so that you can consider all of these points while designing the relationships in your data model. Now let's take a look at the hierarchical relationship. This is a special relationship field which allows us to associate records of the user object with each other. This means that we can create a hierarchical relationship field on the standard object user in Salesforce. Note that we cannot use this field for any other Salesforce object, be it standard or custom. Also, hierarchical relationship is available only on the user object, as user is a special standard object in Salesforce. Apart from these three types of relationships in Salesforce, we can also create two additional types of relationships if we use external data sources and external objects. These additional relationships are external lookup and indirect lookup. External objects are database tables from an external system. Using the concept of external data sources, we can map database tables from an external system or external database into the Salesforce's external objects and make these objects behave in a very similar way as Salesforce objects. External lookup field is very similar to the lookup relationship field. Using this, we can associate a Salesforce or an external object with another external object. We can create this field on both standard and custom Salesforce objects. Indirect lookup relationship, on the other hand, is a field that we can create on the external objects to associate them with a Salesforce object, which could be either standard or custom object. We will dive deeper into these two relationships in a separate video where we will cover the topics external data sources and external objects. There is another special type of relationship which is a logical one. When I say logical, I mean that we cannot see this option in Salesforce while creating a field, but using an approach we can implement this type of relationship, which is many to many. In the section where we learnt about the lookup and master detail relationships, we understood the concept of one-to-many relationship where there will be one parent having multiple children. In a many-to-many relationship, we can have multiple records of one object associated to multiple records of the other objects using a concept called a junction object. A junction object is nothing but a custom object which has two master detail relationships. And on this object, we create fields and store information about the two related master records. Let's try to understand this concept with a simple example. Suppose that we have a custom object bug, which represents a flaw in a feature that we have built. Here we use case object to track the complaints or issues raised by the end users which are associated with one or multiple bugs. Now, if we want to associate a case record with multiple bugs, we might end up creating multiple lookup fields on the case to refer to the bug object. This is very well possible technically, but there will be challenges like: first, how many lookup fields do we create on case objects, as we need to consider the total limit on the relationship fields that are allowed on an object in Salesforce. Second, we cannot add more detail for a case to bug instance as we don't have those fields available on the case object. And if we want to create these fields, we will need to create such fields in multiples of the total number of lookup fields for bugs that we decide to create. This, however, seems not a practically manageable solution. So here, what we can do is to create a new custom object with name case to bug association and create two master detail relationships on it. The first field will relate this object with the case, and the second field will relate this object to the bug object. Moving further, we can create as many fields as we need on this object to track details specific to this case to bug instance. I hope that this example gave you a brief but good idea about how to implement many-to-many relationships in Salesforce. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and give a thumbs up. Share this video if you think this will help someone understand the explained Salesforce concept. Do not hesitate to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications about my videos, as I will be sharing such interesting Salesforce content to help you in your Salesforce adventure. Lastly, write to me in comments if you have any questions regarding any Salesforce topic or you want me to create a video about that topic. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.